Hi, I'm Cinnamon Cooney, and I'd like to show you how you can use your art guide today to get your painting laid out better. Now, I know a lot of you are tracing, and I first want to say that there's nothing wrong with tracing. It's not cheating. It's totally okay to do. But as you begin to learn to construct paintings, a skill that's good to take on is the ability to block in and lay out objects on your canvas without having to transfer or trace. So by using this fabulous free resource as part of your art guides, I'm going to show you how you can, even with very little drawing experience, get a much better layout on your own freehand. You guys ready to do this? All right. So we're going to put this aside here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the red lines. The red lines, and I have them lightly drawn in pencil here on my paper, but this is the same size as the canvas, 11 by 14 that I'm going to be using. And the measurements here on your guide are set up for that. So this is the halfway point on the height of the canvas. So if this is 11, it's 5.5, and if this is 14, it's 7. So now we know where that is, and that matches your panda. I also have outlined some shapes to help you see what those shapes are, so you have an easier time duplicating them, and gave you some measurements and sizes so that you can get those closer to accurate, including the width of the bamboo, which is something that seems subtle but can be really challenging. So if I look at my guide, the first thing that I can see is that my bamboo comes from the right-hand side and curves up just a little bit, right? And you can see how much it curves right next to the little panda guy. So you just follow that line if you're blocking that in, right? Just block that in and follow that line. Now, the width of this is 2 3/4, right? So you want to make sure that you get a 2 3/4, which I can't see on my ruler, 2 3/4. Little mark here. And then there's a 2-inch little mark here. So by having that mark, what you can do is then remember that it's your bamboo has to be this wide at the bottom. See? And comes to about 2. So that subtle slope that can be so hard when you're new, you don't have to guess it. You don't have to guess it at all. Now for the placement of him, let's look at his little paw is about right here, and he's got his nice little head shape here. We've got a paw coming around, another one gripping, and another one gripping. And how I've outlined these will help you see the shapes better. So he has a head, right? And his head will be about, and I'm going to measure this out like so that the space is pretty good, right? We're going to, sometimes my ruler, my T-square is not my friend in being agreeable for measuring of size. I'm going to come down to where I believe his head starts, and I can kind of tell that from that red line, can't I? So I come down there, and I can measure, right, just about 5 1/4. And then I can make sure that I've got a 4 1/4 kind of width for the head. And the head is angled up here, is pretty centered from like right here. And I'll just, 4 1/4. So that's going to make sure that I have the right outline. So if I'm making that little circle, see how we're using this? Now I've got my circle about the right dimension. I don't have to freehand that in. I just have to take care of these small bits of information. And since I have this in and I've got this nicely tucked in the tree, I know that I've got a paw here. Now I might be able to freehand that in just now looking at the size of things. But if I'm not sure, right, I could check it. I could say, is this about 2 1/4 or 2.5 inches? Yes, it is. Is this about 1 1/4, 1.5 inches? Yes, it is. And so that's how you can be sure that you're about the right size for what you're doing. Now there's a very important little shape that I made here, which kind of shows you the arc of his body, which is going to come down past our center line, right? Come boom, boom, boom. And he's got his little bum bum, and it comes right here. And by having this, you can really see where he's hugging his bamboo. Once you have his little bum bum in, right? You can then use the little worksheet to know that his other paw comes right here. Sometimes what's happening for you when you're drawing, when you're painting, when you're doing things is you're taking in so much information. It's really hard for you to break it down into digestible bits. Now I'll show you my little trick for his leg. When I do his little leg, I actually first make this little circle, and that helps me kind of get his little knee. And then I'm going to bring the paw down. I'm going to make another little circle, and I can see that now in the paw, and I can see I got too big. And you know how I got too big? Because my paw is coming to the edge of the bamboo, but I can clearly see here it's not. I don't have to know everything when I'm learning to draw or paint, but I need to know certain things. And I think that these are going to make it so much easier for, you know, new painters and student painters to understand the construction process of their art. Now, see that paw right there? You can see it kind of touches that line, comes over the bamboo, and is tucked just a little bit below this paw. So that helps you know if your paw here is placed right. Look! See, it's already helped me because I placed this paw too high. Can you see how the worksheet helps you break it down? Right? The worksheet helps you break it down. So same size little paw, but I want to make sure that it's closer to the first paw. Once I have that, pretty easy to get the little circle in for that next paw. Now, his ears are right here and right here. That's not too hard to do. Wow, I'm freehanding a panda. And I've got some information about the eyes. Let me show you a little trick. I'm going to come across here, and I'm going to come down the center. Notice that I'm slightly curving that line. That helps me remember that this is a little bit in perspective. And I know that his eyes need to be about 1.5 inches apart. So if I'm checking that, I can be like, are we about 1.5 inches apart? And then I can make sure that if I need to move them back, I can. So this is, again, the traceable's there. This is just if you're trying to freehand. And then I'm going to put a nice little circle right here that's going to be for his little nose. And I can put his little nose in. Give him his little smile. And so no matter where I'm at in my drawing journey, a little trail guide, a little art guide can help me get through. It's not about being able to just render everything from your head and freehand everything and just be a perfect artist all the time. It's about looking at your projects, taking them in, and then deciding, how can I break this down and simplify it for myself? So I'm hoping as we're releasing these guides to you guys, you're going to learn that process of like, can I see these big shapes and forms? And can I map that into my canvas? Mastering this will help you master changing canvas sizes and doing a lot of those art things that you guys really in your heart want to do. I hope you enjoyed this guide. I hope you will check out all the guides because they're super helpful, and I cannot wait to see your epic, amazing spring pandas when you're done. Okay, next guide.